Hey everybody, just got back from Cracker Barrel over here at the coffee shop. Just uploading these videos, drinking some coffee, bought some organic honey crisp apple juice and water. So yeah, I'm gonna go over the days that the lost footage. I'm here right now. That's Bojangles. I'm probably gonna have that later. Three Little Pigs. You got the Kroger's. I'm right here. Little Mountain Coffee and Tea. Just decent Wi-Fi. I mean, nothing super fast, but I know Three Little Pigs had crazy Wi-Fi, but I might do that later. I'm just trying to upload this first video, so yeah. All right, day 57. So I woke up from the tent. That was my last video. I tented up, but then the crazy thing happened. Fran ended up picking me up at 11:30 at nighttime, and driving me to a Big Walker motel, and she ended up paying for my stay there. Shout out to her. Thank you for driving out. What happened was, that night when I set up my tent and I was going to sleep, there was a car there. I was sleeping right next to the parking lot. Guess what happened? Someone was trying to break into the vehicle. Oh man, like I heard it. And these guys, I think there was two of them. One of them just kept walking up and down the street, and they were shining their bright white light at my tent. I'm thinking maybe they thought that was my car, but yeah, they were there for like an hour and 30 minutes. And the crazy thing was I was just texting Fran, Happy. I was just texting her because she said she went to Dismal Falls earlier on, so I was just texting her. Then all of a sudden I hear these noises, and then I hear the windshield trying to get broken in, and then that's when the lights started happening. And so she was just, I told her that I think somebody's trying to break into a vehicle. She was really worried, she was really concerned, so she was just like, I'm gonna come pick you up and you should just stay into the local hotel. I was just gonna wait until they left, but she persisted and she insisted, and she was just like, I'm on the interstate. So that was cool. Shout out to her. Thanks for looking out. She was definitely concerned. So yeah, that ended up happening that night. I woke up from the motel. Crazy. Yeah, the other thing happened was so she got lost, so I ended up packing up my stuff once they left, and I ended up walking up. And then while I was walking up the interstate, this is near like Bushy Mountain Outfitters or Bushy Mountain Outpost, I was walking up, I saw a car like in that area where the gravel road turn around, and I could see this car slowly making its way up, and it turned around on the interstate to come to me because I only had my white light on. It was in the middle of the dark, you know. I was like out of reach of everything, and so I turn around and I'm just waiting there because they're starting to pull up real nice and slow, and they just stop and they roll their window down. So I'm just like, wow, what's up? You guys following me? And like they were just like, no. It ended up being a boy and a girl. Yeah, they were just like, we just wanted to see if you needed help. Like I was really like concerned. I was really amped up that night, you know. I was just like, I must have came off crazy. But yeah, they ended up, I was like, listen man, these guys are trying to break into the vehicle down there. I thought you guys were them trying to follow me up. Like, can you guys drop me off to the Bushy Mountain Outpost? So they ended up, I ended up getting in their car. They tried me, but not realizing it's only like 0.1, 0.2 miles up. So that was pretty cool that they dropped me off. They gave me a knife. They were just like, here man, you should take this. I'm just like, nah, it's okay. But they ended up giving it to me. It was like a little old knife. I ended up giving it to Fran's son because he's like a collector of knives. Really funny. But yeah, that night was shady. That night was just crazy. I didn't get to sleep around like maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. Got to the hotel, like it was just crazy. That night was just crazy. And I don't know about you guys, but in Jersey, like that car theft is serious, you know. The people who do it, like they do not play around, you know. It's like one of the biggest in the country. So yeah, that happened that night. So day 50, yeah, so day 57, I ended up waking up at the motel. I ended up, because that motel is near Bland and stuff, right? So I ended up going down and walking down to the Dollar General, to the Subway to pack up a sub, and then right at the corner, a car pulls up, and it's Sling, Sling and like a trail angel. He was just like, hey, and I was just like, oh snap. He was just like, where you headed? I'm just like, I'm headed to the trailhead. So they gave me a ride. Like Sling just popped out of nowhere. So I ended up going to the outpost with him, and we ended up walking. I ended up hiking first, you know, but we all met up that day at Jenny Knob Shelter. And if you guys are familiar with Worth heading north, Betty White, yeah, he ended up doing, I was in one of his videos. That's where you see me on the bench eating with Sling. Met him for the first time. The first time I saw him, he just showed up to the shelter. He was just like, you're not today. I was just like, yeah. So that was pretty funny. Another dude ended up coming, Cryptic. I guess him and Betty White were real cool. But yeah, that's when I met them two for the first time. But I met Sling already. So it was just us four that night. The weather was really, it started to rain. Yeah, it definitely started to rain. I believe it rained that day. Yeah, it rained a little that day. Yeah, for sure, because I was soaking wet, and that night it was thundering, it was raining, and everything. So yeah, we all ended up spending the night in the shelter, all four of us. So that was day 57. Alright, day 58. I wrote all this down. I'm trying to just go through everything in my head. Alright, day 58, we ended up waking up, and the night previous when we were all holed up in the shelter, me, Sling, Cryptic, and Betty White, we were all talking about Woods Hole Hostel, if we were going to stay there, and we knew that it was going to be raining all day the next day. So when we woke up, we all headed out. It was going to be a 21.7 mile day, so it was definitely long, and it was raining, it was thundering, you know. Yeah, not thundering as much, but it was definitely raining a lot, that is for sure. This is the day that I went to Dismal Falls. Yeah, because Frank kept talking about Dismal Falls, so I went over to Dismal Falls. I took the side trip, and I met these two section hikers where literally I meet them later on at Angel's Rest Hostel. But yeah, they were just section hikers. Yeah, they were real cool, man. They were from Alabama. They were hiking in a group, four of them, but I only met two at that particular time when I was hiking to Dismal Falls. That day, where I saw the Kimberling Creek, the bridge, that was pretty sweet, man. Oh man, I only had a photo, but prior to that, you could see this dirty water. It was like flooded around this area. Like, it was just ridiculous to see. I mean, that bridge, when I was crossing that bridge, I was like, this looks like the George Washington Bridge, you know. It looked official. It had all the suspension lines hanging so it could like hold the bridge. Like, it was pretty sweet, that's for sure. It was raining all day that day, and yeah, I would say the trail was really flooded that day. I remember that is for sure. I definitely remember that the trail was definitely flooded. I mean, the two section hikers, they ended up going, but I ended up meeting them. I ran into Sling twice that day. Yeah, but we were doing this river crossing. They were like looking at the river to see how they should maneuver around it. Then here I come trudging along. I go right through it, and it came up to my knees, the water. I was just like, oh, I didn't expect that. But they were just like, what do we say to rivers? Not today. That was funny. Then the second time I saw Sling that day, I ran across him twice, you know. Yeah, the second time I saw him was at the lake. I was sitting down, having lunch. Then here he comes. I gave him a burrito too. Made him a little small pepperoni cheese burrito. So that was cool. I met the other two section hikers, so that they were in the group. So I got to meet them. And then we all hiked to Woods Hole Hostel. Very beautiful hostel. Yeah, I mean, Neville, the owner, like, and this hostel is very like well known. It's been around for many years. She's just very kind, sweet. The bunkhouse was nice. Whoa, it was really nice inside. It definitely felt really cozy. The Wi-Fi was like not there, but hey, it was fine. She ended up making dinner for us. Not her, but the guy that the crew that works around there. He ended up doing dinner. They weren't gonna do dinner, but then we arrived and she was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do dinner." So we got to eat dinner, and we didn't know. Me and Sling didn't know if Betty White and Cryptic were gonna come, but later on they ended up just trudging through, so that was pretty sweet. Woods Hole Hostel, yeah, I remember she mentioned that night before to wake up and watch the sunrise, so that's exactly what I was doing. But that was day 58. It was very rainy that day. I was wet. We were all wet. I mean, we were all wet, that is for sure. My shoes and everything. But yeah, that's just something I just dealt with, you know. Yeah, Dismal Fall. Shout out to Fran, you know. She mentioned that, you know, I was shouting out in the video, like, "This is for you, Fran, this is for you, happy." Like, it was pretty sweet. Yeah, shout out to you, Fran. Yeah, for real. Day 58. All right, day 59. So we all made plans because Pearisburg was right there after Woods Hole Hostels. They were saying it's 12-mile day, but I'm looking at the mileage. It's 10.7 miles. What do I remember about that day? It was a very easy hike, that is for sure. That's what I remember. There was like initial climb, but yeah. And all day we were talking about, even the night before, we were talking about this closing, this ATC closing about 15 miles up ahead. I heard it from sonar before, but yeah, it really was starting to like sink in that we might have to shuttle around it. But yeah, I got to this gravel road, I believe. Yeah, my phone's updating. I'm just looking at my phone to check updates. Alright, well, yeah, got to the trailhead. I was trying to hitch. I remember I was trying to hitch, couldn't find a hitch. But prior to that, I met someone on the trail, and she also does YouTube. And she like did a small interview with me. You could probably, I forgot her name, honestly, but yeah, she was hiking with Storm, yeah, ran into them, and yeah, got to the trailhead, started to hitch, but I couldn't find no rides. It was definitely very tough, so I ended up just calling Angel Rest Hostel, and that hostel, yeah, picked me up. Doc Pepper, like, shout out to her and the crew too, they were really nice. Yeah, she ended up picking me up. Angel Rest is a nice little spot too, very fast Wi-Fi. I gotta give it to them for that. They had super fast Wi-Fi. The bunkhouse was nice. I came across another northbound hiker that day, Roadrunner, right? And he was like, if you want to join me for Mexican food later. So I was like, yeah. So I met him in the bunkhouse, and also this other lady. Her name was Victoria. She was just doing a flip-flop, but she just didn't seem, it seemed like she was just gonna go as far as she can, you know. I ended up going to Walmart to do resupply, and guess who I see there? Neville. I just saw her the night before, you know. So I saw Neville there. I helped her with her groceries because she had like so many cans of soda. I helped her with her groceries with that. Ended up seeing Neville that day, and I went back to the bunkhouse, and I went over to the communal area. The bathrooms are sweet. Like, it has toilets, the showers, it's heated in there. But the communal area is like this kitchen, couch, living room style with like a TV. But I just go in there just to check it out, and I see Butter. Butter said he was taking a 0, and it was just so funny seeing him. I was like, hey, Butter! You know, I saw him at Bear Garden Hostel, and he was just like, hey, you're making some miles, you know? So that was cool seeing Butter. Who else did I see? And then later, a little bit after that, I see Betty White and Cryptic. They were just like, yeah, the Plaza Motel was booked, so they came over here. And then I was just like, yeah, they have super fast Wi-Fi. You know, they were gonna get Chinese food, but I think it was closed that day. But yeah, I ended up going to Mexican food, and it was me, Roadrunner, and Victory Girl, and the other YouTuber girl. She showed up with Scuba Steve. He was hiking with the 4-section hikers. I didn't notice at that time, but yeah, so we all sat down next to each other. We were eating, conversating. It was very nice. And then I got back to the bunkhouse, did all of the rest of my chores, and just called it a night. Yeah, for sure. Roadrunner, yeah, he's doing some miles. Like, he was doing 30s. Like, he was telling me his time schedule. Like, he's hiking into the nighttime and everything. Like, yeah, like shout out to him. You know, he was saying that he was gonna move to New York because he has a residency there. He's going to Columbia for like med school. So yeah, very smart individual. Yeah, cool person, man. So shout out to him. Shout out to Victory Girl. I introduced her to Neville because she was going south, and I told her to stop by Woods Hole Hostel. I guess she was just trying to like get work as well. So Neville really yeah, so they got to talking. So she might be over there now, I don't know, helping out, who knows. But yeah, so that was, what a small world, you know. So that was day 59 or day. My phone's updating right now. I don't know if you guys can see, but yeah. Wow. Ooh, look at that sun. Pretty. Wow. What's in that? Alright, day 60. So I woke up that morning. I was thinking of taking a 0, but it was such a beautiful day out. Everyone was leaving to get on back to trail. Roadrunner left, Victory Girl left, Betty White, Cryptic left, Butter left. Everyone, like, I was just there by myself, you know. And I was there by myself, and I was uploading some videos and stuff. And then I'm just like, I gotta hit the trail. And the talk about was this 15-mile closure, so I was really concerned about that. And I didn't want to skip any sections, but with this closure, because they were the power line was down, and they were talking about doing blasting this year. Oh no, blasting that week. So I ended up just Yeah, I had to maneuver around, taking a shuttle all the way to the top of the trailhead. It was called a Peters Mountain Trailhead. Mile marker 657, so that means I have to go back and do the 15 miles later, but that's fine though. When I got dropped off there, I saw Betty White and Cryptic, and they came out and they were just like good thing you shuttled around it, because it was just like, it was just crazy, you know. They said that it was just a lot of blowdowns, like it took them for a very long time to get through. So I was glad that I shuttled around. I just went to the nearest shelter, which was called Bailey Gap Shelter. It was only a 3.6 mile day for me. It wasn't that much, but I wanted to get back on trail, and any miles were just good for me. So I definitely was thinking a lot that day, because like I didn't want to skip any sections, you know. I was thinking about just going through, you know. But it's fine, man, you know. I'll just come back and just do it later. But I really just, I don't know, I was thinking about a lot that day, but it's fine though. Since they told me that there were a lot of blowdowns, it kind of made me feel better. Like, whoa, like I could have got injured. Like Betty White's knee was all scraped up. I was like, whoa, you know. So yeah, nothing happening that day. I was just waiting around for these videos there. I ended up seeing the 4 section hikers. Shout out to them. They were just doing a section, like a 4-day section. And yeah, sweet truck though. I remember their truck. They showed me their truck. It was like a GMC Denali. Like it was just like with the new truck bed with the you could pull down with all the attachments to that. Like it just looked sick. He was showing me that. And then once before they left, 2 of them gave me $20 a piece to go get something to eat. And one of them saw my videos prior, so he knew me prior. So when he saw me on trail at near like Dismal Falls, he was like, hey, you got a YouTube channel, right? You're not today. So yeah, shout out to them. They yeah, so kind, man. I really do appreciate that. If you guys are watching this, thank you. They were all from Alabama, so that was pretty cool, you know. Yeah, they all had the Alabama license plate, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, that was day 60. Yeah. Alright, day 61. A lot of people were taking zeros this day, day 61, because the temperature was dropping and it was going to be raining all day. So a lot of people were worried about the cold rain, but also they kept talking about snow coming, but I just needed to get back on trail. So the night before, I only did like that 3-mile hike to that shelter, and I knew that the rain was coming next day, but I was just like, I've been through worse weather, you know. So I hiked through that day, and I did 14.6 miles to Laurel Creek Shelter. What do I remember about that day? It was very rainy that day for sure. I mean, but it wasn't that, like, the temperature was okay, you know. It was raining all day, but I would say a lot of people were worried about the nighttime with their clothes not drying. But I found, yeah, I was just in like my regular windbreaker and my tee, and you know, that was just fine. It was like the weather wasn't really that bad, you know, for the hike. So I made it to Laurel Creek Shelter, and by the time I made it there, it was like around 3 o'clock. I wasn't really trying to push it. I sat there and was like, should I hike on or should I just stay at the shelter? I could have hiked on if I wanted to, but I was just like, you know what, I got way too much food, packed up way too much food again, so I ended up just staying there. And then what do I remember before that? Nothing that I could remember. Let me see. Yeah, Kelly Knob. Yeah, there was a Kelly Knob. I remember the 2 Kelly Knobs. Yeah, the trek going up was, yeah, it was definitely a climb for sure. The duration was a little bit too, but I did take the side view to see Kelly Knob. but it was all fogged out. I think the picture is right there, the fogged out picture. I think, yeah, that was Kelly Knott for sure. So I just did that. Then I came all the way down Laurel Creek Shelter, and then while I was getting ready and stuff, cooking my food, 2 other northbound hikers came through. It was a CVS and section hiker that was only hiking for 30 days, but he started at Hot Springs. I think he said Hot Springs. Yeah, he said Hot Springs, and that was Al. So us two got to talking. So good conversations that night. I mean, CVS, she was like a real, yeah, official too. Like, shout out to her, yo, you know, doing her thing, you know. She started later too, so she was doing some miles, I think some 20s. He was too, though, for sure. But yeah, we all spent the night inside the shelter, you know, drying out all of our clothes. It was all hung up. It was a decent shelter, you know. We all had good food, you know. And what do I remember? What I remember is that day is I lost my headlamp the night before, because I was looking for my headlamp that night or that day, and I was just like, where's my headlamp? Lost my headlamp, guys. Oh man. And I also noticed that I lost my spoon too. Ben's spoon. Oh. Whew. But Vince gave me a spoon. Vince from the Buzzard Rock and stuff in Damascus. He gave me a spoon. He bought me a spoon, a Toke spoon, saying, yeah, because I lost the spoon before, but I already had Ben's spoon, so I just carried that around. But I lost Ben's spoon. Ben, if you're watching this, my bad, bro. The Sea to Summit spoon is gone. Lost that, you know. But the headlamp really got to me. I was just like, dang, man, you know, it's not cheap either. So left the note on Gut Hooks, like, if you guys find a little headlamp, you know, that's mine. But yeah, that's what I remember about that day. Yep. All right, day 62. So I woke up that day. Al and CVS were talking about hiking all the way to Pickle Branch Shelter, but that was definitely a trek, and they were putting in some miles, man. So they ended up hiking first. They were hiking out for me. This day I did 21.5 miles. I literally got right before Pickle Branch Shelter, because right before the climb I just ended up tenting out. But yeah, it's at the end of that video. But what did you guys miss? Because this is the day that I lost the footage. I was recording with the SD card, then the SD card banged up on me. SD card error. All these days of footage all gone. So the number one thing I passed was Kiefer Oak, the big oak tree. That was just ridiculous. I mean, it was huge too. I first was gonna walk by it, but then there was a plaque and it said Kiefer Oak, and it was like a little fenced in area right after that. So that was pretty cool. And right after that I saw the cows. I was like, oh, this is the first time up close with cows. But I did see the cows the next day. But yeah, I saw that. But before that, I stopped at a shelter. I believe it was the War Spur shelter. It was a very nice shelter though. I saw Al and CVS there. They were just collecting water. But before that I saw a hat on trail, and I was just like, this looks very familiar. So I picked up the hat, carried it all the way to the shelter. When I saw them, I was just like, did you lose a hat? And she was like, yeah. So I gave her hat back. You know, I ended up sitting down eating lunch there. But yeah, I think that was missed in the videos. What else? Oh yeah, I crossed the plaque that said in Eastern Continental Divide Trail. That was crazy. Like, I was about to pass it. I was like, where's that AT at? And it was right there, Eastern Continental Divide Trail. Left was like Mexico with like like 2100 miles, and the right was like man, Atlantic Ocean or something. I don't even remember, but it was something crazy like that. I should have taken a photo of that, but yeah, that day I remember. And then you guys see me pulling up to the parking lot, and right where that video starts, the day 62 and a half, is when the footage was just all just gone, man. Yeah, that kind of got to me, but yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I saw Audie Murphy's memorial there. Wow, like that was crazy, man. Most decorated veteran of World War II with all these medals. Shit, it was just so crazy. Here I'm worrying about videos, right? It really put things into perspective that day. When I saw it, I was just like, you know what? It's out of my control, right? If it happens, it happens. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's it. And then the rest of the footage, I just land up. I end up tenting out there at Trout Creek. Alright, that was day 62. Yeah, first half of the footage is gone. Yeah, it was definitely cold that morning. Yeah, that is for sure. It did not snow though. It did not snow. But it did end up snowing that night a little bit. But yeah.